Hello and welcome to TechWatch, the EdTech video news program produced by eSchool News. I'm Laura Devaney. For years, the multi-billion-dollar E-rate was criticized as being too complex for applicants to follow, and many schools missed out on funding as a result of simple clerical errors. Now, E-rate officials are trying to change that. They've created a way for applicants to correct their mistakes and avoid funding denials. In a training session held in Florida last fall, E-rate official Catriona Ayer described the process in detail.
This guidance really talks about correcting mistakes that you may have made. Clerical and ministerial errors is what they call them. But basically it's, I was filling out this form and I made this mistake on the form. Now there are a lot of things that you can fix on the forms. There are still some things that you cannot fix. That in order to fix some of these things, you will need to file, for example, a new Form 470. But one of the things that we do is when you send us a form, we send you a letter. You send us another form, we send you another letter. And so we go back and forth a lot with that. And the first form that you send to us is the Form 470. And the letter that we send you back after that form is called the Form 470 Receipt Notification Letter. And the Receipt Notification Letter has 2 pages at the front of information that I highly encourage you to read. It's only 2 pages. Read the letter. I want to point out 2 important things here. I'm going to try to highlight them down here. And the 3 lines that I've highlighted, the first one says the date that the Form 470 was posted. If you filed online, this is the date when you hit the complete button and you posted your Form 470 online, or it's the date that we finished data entering your form. And then there's the allowable contract date. This is the magical 28 days later. Make sure that you know this date, because if you enter into an agreement too soon, then you end up with all kinds of problems. So we try to give you this information right up front. And then there's the 3rd line here says corrections due by, and this is the letter date plus 20. So make sure that you respond to us about your corrections on time. So after the first 2 pages of the form, then you get to the Form 470 Receipt Notification Report. And again, here we're highlighting for you, this is the allowable contract date for this Form 470. And then we ask for some contact information, who is making the corrections. We ask you to sign it just so that we know who you are. And then we start here with the information from the form. And so we've got the item number on the left-hand side. Then there's a column for the data that you entered on the Form 470. And then the column on the right says, make corrections here. And so in this case, it's blank because this is just a sample, but the name of the applicant, so your name would appear here, Little Red Schoolhouse. Turns out you're actually not Little Red Schoolhouse, you're Little Red Elementary Schoolhouse. You would just make that correction in the column that says, make corrections here. Similarly, on the Form 471, when you file that, we send you a letter. It's called the Form 471 Receipt Acknowledgement Letter, or the RAL. And we also have a link here to the RAL. And again, it follows the same format. There are 2 pages here of reminders and things for you to keep in mind. And then we move to very similar, the RAL report. This is where, again, you list at the top of the page who you are, and so we know how to contact you in case we can't read your writing. And then we'll go through, and again here, this is going to be the information from your Form 471. You'll see the item number listed on the left, in the middle column, what you entered, and then on the far right column, the make corrections here.
Another modification allows applicants to break out funding requests for services that might be ineligible, so they don't jeopardize the funding of eligible services.
So let's say you have a funding request where half of the dollars are for ineligible services and half of the dollars are for eligible services. Previously, we would have simply denied for the 30% rule, and you would have lost all the funding. Now, we will come to you and we'll say, would you like us, we're going to fund the 50% that's eligible, and for the 50% that's not eligible, would you like us to put it in a separate FRN, or would you like us to keep it in the FRN where it is? Now, we'll give you the money either way. You can appeal it either way. So it's really just a personal decision for you. Would you rather have an FRN that is 100% okay, Or would you like to have an FRN where the funding has been modified? Now, if you don't respond at all to that request, that's when you can run into trouble. So another tip always is if you hear from PIA, make sure you're talking to them.
Make sure you keep all documentation for at least 5 years, Ayer said. Also, make sure you respond to requests from program officials within the given time frame, even if it's to ask for more time.
The FCC also standardized on a 15-day response time frame. So we know that in the past we had what we call the 7 days or 14 days. And now what we do is we remind you halfway through that 15-day time period, we've asked you a question, we still haven't heard from you, just want to remind you that we still have this open question and your answer is due next week. If by next week you still are unable to answer, or you know you're going to need more time, you must request an extension in writing. And please do, if you don't be an ostrich and duck your head in the sand here, if you don't know the answer to the question, talk to your reviewer, tell them you don't understand the question, or if you simply need more time, make sure that you ask for an extension. But the worst possible thing you can do is to not respond to PIA, because when we don't hear from you, that's when we don't know how to, those are the cases where people end up getting denied, which is really terrible, because all we need for you to do is just come back to us and say, I need more time, or help me understand exactly what you're looking for. I don't understand the question. If we can talk to you, then chances are we can resolve whatever the issue is.
To view the entire session and for more E-Rate training videos, go to www.eschoolnews.com/funding, then click on E-Rate Survival Guide under the Funding tab.
eSN TV, your #1 source for video news and information from North America's leading EdTech publications, from the world's foremost EdTech website, the eSchool News Network, America's EdTech authority. Watch eSN TV. Encounter the field's most fascinating personalities, the innovators who are turning the old school into the e-school. Watch eSN TV. Meet notable educators, advocates, and leaders. Watch eSN TV. Get real-time coverage of EdTech's most important gatherings. Stay up to the minute. Get the EdTech news and information you need to succeed. Watch eSchool News TV.